Placing He, Weidong, and Qin Gang together may come as a surprise to many people. They appear to be two individuals who have absolutely nothing to do with each other. What possible connection could there be between them? Let us explain this slowly. In fact, they share many similarities. Both were promoted across ranks at the 20th Party Congress. Both jumped 2 levels in a single move. Both had personal connections to General Secretary Xi Jinping, yet those connections were not particularly deep. Their respective partners were veteran insiders within their systems, and both systems have long traditions of internal power struggles. Ultimately, both men suddenly collapsed amid those internal struggles. During the leadership reshuffle before and after the 20th Party Congress, He, Weidong, and Qin Gang were the 2 most striking fast-tracked top scorers. Within just 3 years, He, Weidong jumped from commander of the Eastern Theatre Command, skipped the rank of Central Military Commission member entirely, and was directly elevated to Politburo member and vice chairman of the Central Military Commission. Qin Gang, meanwhile, was promoted directly from vice ministerial rank to state councillor, a vice national level position. Both of these sudden promotions stemmed from structural deficiencies in Xi Jinping's governing team. Xi spent a long time working at the local level, and even during the 5 years after entering the Standing Committee following the 17th Party Congress, he largely kept a low profile. As a result, his team seriously lacked professional talent, especially in 2 highly specialised fields, the military and diplomacy. The diplomatic system has always been relatively closed and highly professional, making it difficult for outsiders to adapt. In the past, the organisation department experimented with cross-system transfers between local officials and diplomats, but almost all local officials transferred into the diplomatic system failed. Only one person, Nong Rong, survived. The military system is even more so. You cannot simply appoint any official to command troops. That is why we often see military officers transferring out of the military, but rarely see civilian officials transferred into military posts. Apart from a handful of officials responsible for party building or logistics, operational cadres in both systems largely circulate internally. After the large-scale anti-corruption campaign, many vacancies emerged. Chen Shi filled most vacancies in other departments by extensively recruiting executives from central state-owned enterprises. However, when it came to vacancies in the diplomatic and military systems, even Chen Ji was powerless. One simply cannot bring in large numbers of outsiders. Meanwhile, both systems already contained many officials whom Xi and his team did not understand and therefore did not trust, making them reluctant to place them in key positions. Xi prefers to use people he is familiar with and believes to be highly capable. This led to severe talent shortages in critical positions, forcing him to continue using existing officials even when he knew they had problems. This explains why, after the military's anti-corruption campaign, many officers who were found to have bribed Guo Boxiong and Xu Kaihu were still retained. Without them, there would have been no one left to use. By the eve of the 20th Party Congress, age structure problems re-emerged within both systems. Xi's only solution was twofold: allowing senior officials to remain beyond retirement age while urgently fast-tracking younger cadres. This is why Zhang Youxia and Wang Yi remained Politburo members past age 67, and why He, Weidong, and Qin Gang became grade-skipping promotees. Why were He, Weidong, and Qin Gang chosen by Xi as these new top candidates? Because both had special personal ties to Xi and fit his criteria for personnel selection. He, Weidong, spent most of his career serving in the 31st Group Army of the Nanjing Military Region, which covers Jiangsu, Zhejiang, Shanghai, Jiangxi, and Fujian. Xi worked in Fujian for 17 years between 1985 and 2002, and during that time concurrently served as First Secretary of the Fuzhou Military Sub-District Party Committee and Deputy Director of the Nanjing Military Region. National Defense Mobilization Committee. The field unit he interacted with most frequently was the 31st Group Army. He, Weidong, came from a reconnaissance background. His early career progressed slowly, even significantly lagging behind peers such as Miao Hua, until Zhao Keshi became commander of the 31st Group Army. Zhao brought with him his absolute confidant Wang Ning, who became He Weidong's direct superior. From that point on, he became Wang Ning's trusted subordinate and boarded the train of the Zhao Keshi faction. as Zhao later became commander of the Nanjing military region and, at the 18th Party Congress, a Central Military Commission member and director of the General Logistics Department, He Weidong entered the fast lane. Zhao Keshi, one of Xi's most important allies within the military, continued to serve as Xi's advisor after retiring in 2018 and recommended many cadres to Xi, the most important of whom was He Weidong. He Weidong rose step by step from the grassroots. With a very complete resume and long experience in combat operations, he was a technically solid military officer and had an age advantage. As a result, in pre-20th Congress planning, he even surpassed Miao Hua, who had long been ahead of him. This was because after the 18th Party Congress, Xi changed the previous structure of having one vice chairman with a military background and one with a political work background. Although one vice chairman still oversaw military affairs and the other political work, Xi required both to have military backgrounds so they could substitute for each other. That is why Xu Qiliang and Zhang Youxia both first oversaw political work and later military affairs during their terms. Because Miao Hua was purely a political work cadre, he lost eligibility for the vice chairmanship. By the eve of the 20th Party Congress, He Weidong had already become the chosen new leader of the entire 31st Group Army faction and Zhao Keshi's network. At the 20th Party Congress, he was neither a Central Committee member nor an alternate member, not even a party delegate, yet he attended the meeting as a non-voting participant and was elected vice chairman of the Central Military Commission, creating a myth in PLA history. Qin Gang's story is much simpler. At the 20th Party Congress, the sitting foreign minister was already 69 years old, exceeding the retirement age for vice national leaders. His successor should have been a vice minister 5 or 6 years younger, or someone selected from within the same system such as the Central Foreign Affairs Office, the International Liaison Department, or the Taiwan Affairs Office. However, none of these candidates had many opportunities for close interaction with Guy. By contrast, Qin Gang had previously served as Director General of the Protocol Department, responsible for assisting the head of state in diplomatic settings, giving him many opportunities to personally serve Xi. In addition, Qin's wife, Lin Yan, got along particularly well with Peng Liyuan. They frequently attended events together, complementing the First Lady's active international role at the time. These interactions left Qin with a favourable impression in Xi's eyes. Qin Gang later served as Director General of 2 key departments within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Information Department and the Protocol Department, and also served as China's ambassador to the United States. His career path was relatively complete. His experience closely mirrored that of Li Zhaoxing, with whom he became very close. Although Li Zhaoxing had retired many years earlier and was the only foreign minister in recent history not promoted to vice national rank, few expected what came next. Li Zhaoxing's son married the daughter of Yan Weiwen, who is Peng Liyuan's closest male confidant, with an exceptionally strong relationship and also a fellow Shandong native. As a result, Li Zhaoxing became close friends with Peng Liyuan as well. Even before Xi came to power, Li Zhaoxing had already become Xi's personal diplomatic advisor, exerting significant influence over Xi's early foreign policy thinking and diplomatic personnel choices. Xi's Foreign Affairs Secretary Lu Luhua also came through Li's recommendation, as did Qin Gang. Careful observers will notice that although Xi selected He Weidong and Qin Gang, these choices were largely acts of necessity resulting from personnel gaps. His trust in them was utilitarian. They were useful problem solvers. In other words, to Xi, they were like tools he had grown accustomed to using. Although both had personal ties to Xi, those connections were fragile, nothing compared to Xi's relationships with Kai Chi, He Lifeng, or Wang Xiaohong. He Weidong, for example, had no direct interaction with Xi during Xi's Fujian years because his early career progressed too slowly. He only became deputy commander of the Western Theatre Command in 2016 when he began to receive occasional meetings with Xi. Even after becoming Eastern Theatre Commander in 2019, his direct interactions with Xi were limited in both duration and frequency. His connection to Xi relied largely on Zhao Keshi's endorsement and was therefore indirect. In fact, his direct contact with Xi was far less than Miao Hua's. As Zhao Keshi aged and his influence over Xi declined, while his own position rose rapidly, he was forced to manage his relationship with Xi directly, a significant challenge. As a suddenly elevated vice chairman, he lacked deep understanding of the PLA's internal political games and unwritten rules, and he did not fully understand Xi's temperament. When facing the wise and mighty leader, he felt more like dealing with a stranger than an old friend, constantly guessing the leader's intentions. This planted the seeds for his eventual loss of favour. Qin Gang's story followed a similar pattern. Although Qin had many opportunities to directly serve Xi during his time in the protocol department, these services occurred in public diplomatic settings, leaving little room for private interaction. He left Xi with the impression of being cautious, nervous, meticulous, and obedient. Qin's understanding of Xi was extremely limited, far inferior to seasoned operators like Wang Yi. As Xi grew more confident in his own diplomatic judgment, his reliance on Li Xiaoxing declined, leaving Li little ability to help Qin further. Everything then depended on Qin's own judgment of what decisions aligned with Xi's thinking. While fast-tracking he, Weidong, and Qin Gang, Xi also placed veteran figures Zhang Youxia and Wang Yi at the helm. If these seniors had guided the younger generation even slightly, the latter might have matured into competent leaders within 5 years, but this did not happen. The elders remained in place while the rising stars fell, likely due to the long-standing traditions of internal struggle within both systems. The PLA has been faction-ridden since its founding, with constant battles for resources and positions. During Xi's era, two factions were particularly favoured, Zhang Youxia's faction and the 31st Group Army faction. Zhang Youxia, Xi's closest childhood friend and political ally, first oversaw political work as vice chairman and later military operations. His network spans Vietnam War veterans, the equipment department, the rocket force, and cadres from multiple military regions. The 31st Group Army faction, led by Weidong and Miao Hua, includes cadres from the 31st Group Army, the Navy, and the former Nanjing military region. The military discipline apparatus included members from both sides. Zhang Shengmin, the discipline chief, leaned toward Zhang Youxia's faction, while Deputy Secretary Tang Yong came from the Nanjing military region. Let us reconstruct this struggle. The first round was initiated by Weidong and Miao Hua against Zhang Youxia. This conflict was both accidental and inevitable. As younger cadres overseeing political work, he and Miao needed achievements to retain Xi's favour, which inevitably disrupted existing interests and personnel arrangements. After multiple accidents and leaks, the rocket force became the first branch to experience near collapse-level corruption, implicating most senior leaders, including multiple former commanders. He and Miao appointed a discipline chief from the 31st Group Army to the rocket force, intending to investigate thoroughly. Procurement corruption in the rocket force implicated two former heads of the General Armaments Department and defence ministers. The investigation spread to suppliers, mainly state-owned aerospace enterprises, particularly CASIC and personnel from the 8th Academy. In short, the missile and launch vehicle sector was hit. To determine whether a leader might be implicated, one need only check whether they participated in this business in recent years. Figures such as Ma Xingrui and Yuan Jia-jun from the 5th Academy and already vice-national leaders were relatively safe. Tang Dengji, an outsider who served briefly, was likely uninvolved. The rocket force and equipment department were Zhang Youxia's power base. This investigation placed Zhang in an extremely awkward position, nearly toppling him. Li Shangfu, as a Central Military Commission member and head of the equipment department, was found to have bribed someone. Who could that recipient have been? His superiors were only Xi Jinping and Zhang Youxia. Who do you think it was? After the Military Discipline Commission announced its findings, Zhang was deeply frustrated. However, he and Miao misunderstood Xi's thinking. Xi values long-standing loyalty, and more importantly, without Zhang Youxia, Xi would have had no one left to use. If Zhang were removed and Weidong promoted to first vice chairman overseeing military affairs, would that not effectively sideline Xi himself? Therefore, the two vice chairmen must come from different factions to check each other. Zhang is irreplaceable, he and Miao are not. Their attempt failed. In the second round, Zhang Youxia struck back, targeting Miao Hua for corruption and improper personnel placements. Miao's corruption was no secret. Gathering detailed evidence merely took time. With Miao's fall, many closely associated senior officers followed. Zhang regained ground. Originally, Zhang's target was only Miao Hua, but As Miao confessed, many issues involving He Weidong were exposed. Since many personnel decisions and schemes had been jointly made, Xi suddenly realized that the two men he personally trusted and promoted were not absolutely loyal. They had their own calculations and factions operating behind his back. This was absolute disloyalty and a betrayal of his trust. Can the future of the military be entrusted to such people? Xi sees himself as someone who has devoted his entire life to the nation and the people. He expects those he trusts to devote everything to him in return. Although Xi reportedly dislikes bathing in daily life, politically he is an extreme moral clean freak. He utterly despises betrayal. Thus, He Weidong ceased to be vice chairman, just like Miao, who are suspended and awaiting punishment. This process will be long. The last ruler who is such a severe moral clean freak was the Chongzhen emperor of the Ming dynasty. During his 17-year reign, he replaced 19 chief grand secretaries and 14 ministers of war, executing 7 of them. He trusted them completely upon appointment, but the moment problems arose, especially those affecting his core goal of pacifying Liaodong, he imprisoned or executed them. Since reform and opening, the CCP's legitimacy has rested on economic growth and nationalism. As the economy declines, only nationalism remains. The greatest nationalist cause is Taiwan reunification. This is Xi's long-term source of legitimacy and his chance to rival Mao Zedong historically. Many doubt it, but Xi truly regards reunification as his most important political mission. Military combat effectiveness determines whether reunification is possible. Corruption and factionalism weaken the military and sabotage this mission, something Xi cannot tolerate. Therefore, the downfall of He Weidong, Miao Hua, and many others was inevitable. Compared with the military, infighting in the diplomatic system is simpler, but no large organisation is monolithic. The CCP's 3-horse carriage of foreign affairs, the Central Foreign Affairs Office, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the International Liaison Department creates overlapping authority and competition. Within the ministry itself, the minister, party secretary, and executive vice minister form another 3-horse structure. Succession battles have historically been intense. In the new era, foreign affairs, power and interests have expanded massively due to aid, loans, and Belt and Road projects. After the 20th Congress, Wang Yi became head of the Central Foreign Affairs Office and no longer served as foreign minister. Qin Gang, as new foreign minister, adjusted personnel and diplomacy, threatening entrenched interests. Reports against Qin accumulated from personal matters to alleged leaks and disrespect for Xi's policies. As rumours piled up, the 3 men make a tiger effect reappeared. Qin's ties to Xi were weak, and Wang Yi monopolised the privilege of accompanying Xi. Qin never obtained this privilege. In authoritarian systems, the core power is who gets to accompany the leader. This privilege determines real authority and safety, not formal rank. This is why Ding Shuexiang defeated Chen Miner, Kai Chi rose to power, and Wang Yi delayed retirement. Qin Gang's downfall stemmed from failing to secure this privilege. Xi ultimately chose to downgrade rather than destroy Qin, assigning him to a subordinate publishing house, allowing him to land safely. After the 20th Congress, many envied He Weidong and Qin Gang. Now many are relieved they were not chosen. In authoritarian systems, sudden promotion without deep trust or capability can be a curse. It is like a child sitting on a mountain of gold. If you cannot defend it, you will inevitably be overthrown. Recently, many YouTubers spread rumours that Zhang Youxia launched a military coup and that Xi lost power. This is absurd. Anyone who understands the CCP's power structure knows that a successful coup would require simultaneous control of the Central Guard Bureau, the Beijing Garrison, and the Central Military Commission. The Central Guard Bureau is controlled by Kai Chi, the Beijing Garrison by Xi's loyalists, and the CMC has been centralised around the chairman. Vice chairman's power has been greatly weakened. Even after controlling these forces, one would need to seize state media, convene party meetings, and secure majority Politburo support. Do you really think Zhang Youxia could accomplish all of this? Creation is not easy. Please follow, like, and comment. Thank you for your support.